Recently reading William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury. I found it a very difficult read, but the title sort of attracted me. The title, the novel is taken from Macbeth's famous soliloquy of Act 5, Scene 5 of William Shakespeare, Macbeth. That sort of really attracted me. It is the famous speech of Macbeth about meaningless of life, and just to read of the lines it's written, or just to quote, it is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this pretty pace from day to do from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brave gallows. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, that signifying nothing. So, I mean, that sort of attracted me to this. Sound and Fury was first published in 1929, but I just came across this. It's by Vintage Books, 1984, I think. That's a picture of the author. And uh, he was born in 1897 and raised in Oxford, Mississippi, where he spent most of his life. So, one of the towering figures of American literature. He's the author of The Sound and Fury, Light in August, and As I Lay Dying, among many other remarkable books. And of course, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1950. Well, this is about the tragedy of the Compson family. Features some of the most memorable characters in literature. Beautiful, rebellious Carrie, the man-child Benji, haunted, neurotic Quentin, Jason, the brutal cynic, and Dulcie, their black servant, their lives fragmented and harrowed by history and legacy. The characters, voices, and actions mesh to create what is arguably Faulkner's masterpiece and one of the greatest novels of the 20th century. So, yes, I mean, um, to me, it was really I had to reread portions to really understand. Well, he writes about the post Civil War. There is anguish, depression amongst the Southern aristocracy that disintegrated. And if you read the American history, you will really understand what it is. Um, the Southern states not only suffered huge losses of property but a way of life, which rendered the family devastated. And the driving force of Faulknerian fiction are linguistic, generic, social, economic, political, cultural, moral, uh, uh, the way he sort of writings. Uh, his criticism encompasses broad areas as race, class, gender, realism, modernism, postmodernism, feminism, post-structuralism, rhetorical and ideological theories, and cultural theories. He writes in such a way that he creates such living characters who break the boundaries of novels and live in the memories of readers forever. And what we find here is that he has adopted different kinds of narrative styles, including the technique popularly known as stream of consciousness, coined by William James in 1890, and his principles of psychology, pioneered by 20th century European novelist. And if you talk about the plot of the text, the first three chapters of the novel consist of the intertwined thoughts and memories of the three Compson brothers recorded on three different dates, namely, we have 7th April 1928, then 2nd June 1910, and 6th April 1928. And the first part of the novel is narrated by Benjamin Compson, who's 33-year-old man. His narrative voice is presented in the form of stream of consciousness technique. He's the youngest child in the family and mentally retarded. The second part of the novel is narrated by Quentin Compson, the eldest child of Jason and Caroline. This chapter deals with events of the last day of Quentin's life as he's preparing to committing suicide. So the third section is narrated by Jason, the third child, who's the only character who stands beside his mother. Jason's narration takes place exactly one day before Benji's section, which is the first section of the novel on Good Friday. And the fourth chapter of the novel falls on 8th April 1928, the day after Benji's narration and 2 days after Jason's. Faulkner himself narrates the fourth chapter in his own voice by focusing on Dilsey, the Compson family's devoted black housekeeper. And talking about the setting, it is set in Jefferson's Mississippi, which is the backdrop of most of his novels and short stories. The novel deals with the story of Compson family, who are formerly aristocrats in southern regions, but currently they are struggling to continue their family reputation. As suggested or described in the novel, over the course of 30 years, the family falls into financial problems and they lose their faith and hope in religion as well as their expectation with the city Jefferson. During this struggling period, many of the characters of the family die tragically without getting any hope in real life, as suggested or described in the novel. Over the course of 30 years, the family also falls into financial problems and they lose their, I mean, which is really sad and which happened to most of the families after the Civil War. Uh, so, so the final section, as I just mentioned, of the novel is not narrated by one of the Compson family members, but instead provides a different perspective through Dilsey, the Compson's loyal African American servant. This section offers a contrasting view of the events depicted in the preceding sections and serves as a commentary on race, class, and morality in the Southern society depicted in the novel. Dilsey's narrative emphasizes themes of resilience, faith, and the enduring bonds of family, providing a sense of redemption amidst the chaos and dysfunction of the Compson family. And it is a very complex, multi layered novel that explores themes of memory, identity, morality, and decline of the Southern aristocracy, as I mentioned before. And through its four distinct sections and narrative styles, Faulkner offers um a profound meditation on human condition and the complexities of family relationship. So, uh, and of course, Faulkner's innovative narrative technique and richly drawn characters make it a landmark work of modernist literature. See for yourself if you can when you read it. And of course, I was really intrigued by uh, the way he selected this title from Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 5. So, what could be the comparison? I mean, how can one compare? I was just wondering. Like, of course, if you see that the themes of ambition and power are there in both, like both works explore the theme of ambition and its consequence. Like, for example, in Macbeth, the titular character's ambition leads him to commit murder and ultimately brings about his downfall. Similarly, in The Sound and the Fury, characters like Jason comes in are driven by ambition and desire for power, leading them to manipulate and control others. Uh, sort of. Then, if you see the psychological depth and characterization, both works delve deeply into the psychology of their characters. Now, if you take Macbeth, explores the inner turmoil of the protagonist, that is Macbeth himself, as he grapples with guilt and paranoia after committing regicide. Similarly, The Sound and the Fury employs stream of consciousness narration to delve into the minds of its characters, revealing their inner conflicts and motivations. And if you talk about, let's just talk about family and inheritance, if we can compare that, let's see. Family dynamics and the inheritance of legacy are central themes in both works. In Macbeth, the theme of inheritance is tied to the succession of the throne and the passing of power from one ruler to another. Now, in this, The Sound and the Fury, the decline of the Compson family and the passing of the estate reflects broader themes of decay and decline in Southern society. Then talking about, say, fate and free will, both works grapple with the interplay between the fate and free will. In Macbeth, the witches' prophecies uh, and Macbeth's subsequent actions raise questions about whether he's fated to fulfill his destiny or if he has the agency to alter it. Similarly, characters in The Sound and the Fury wrestle with their own destinies and the weight of their past actions, suggesting a tension between fate and free will. And of course, talking about the structure and narrative technique, while Macbeth follows a linear narrative structure typical of Shakespearean tragedy, I mean, really, it's so interesting if you see that. The linear narrative I'm talking about. But if you read The Sound and Fury, it employs a more experimental narrative style with multiple narrators and a fragmented timeline. Believe me, I had to reread it two, three times to understand, to even try to understand what it was. Of course, despite these differences, both works effectively convey the complexities of their respective plots and characters through their narrative techniques. Talking about social context and commentary, well, both works offer insights into the social and cultural context of their respective time periods. Macbeth reflects the political instability and paranoia of Jacobean England, while The Sound and the Fury explores issues of race, class, and the decline of the Southern aristocracy in the early 20th century American South. So, of course, I mean, both are absolutely different if you see. If you see at a first glance, there is no connection. But since the title has been taken from there, you will try and understand. You can make a comparative analysis, and you will feel that there are themes that can be shared. such as ambition, power, family, fate, and social context, as well as differences in narrative style and structure. And these similarities and differences offer rich opportunities for deeper exploration and critical interpretation. So, just to wrap it up, I can reiterate that The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner is a complex and challenging novel that has garnered significant critical acclaim since its publication in 1929. And of course, the narrative style itself is distinctive, it's unconventional. It is divided into four sections, each narrated by a different character: Benji, Quentin, Jane, Jason, and an omniscient, and of course, the narrator himself through Dulcie. That's all. Faulkner employs stream of consciousness technique extensively, offering readers a deep dive into the minds of the characters, and the fragmented narrative style mirrors the characters' fragmented perceptions of reality and allows Faulkner to explore themes such as memory, time, and identity. And there are a lot of themes in this, including the decline of the Southern aristocracy, then the burden of history, the disintegration of family, and the elusive nature of truth. And there is this motive of time in particular. It recurs throughout the novel, symbolizing the character's sense of loss and disorientation. Faulkner also explores themes of race and gender, although critics have debated the extent to which he effectively addresses these issues. And of course, if you're talking about characters, they're deeply flawed and often morally ambiguous. Each narrator provides a unique perspective on the Compson family and their decline. Benji, the mentally disabled brother, experiences time in a non-linear fashion, while Quentin is consumed by his obsession with his sisters. Jason, the bitter and resentful brother, narrates the final section, offering a stark contrast to the idealized image of the Southern gentleman. And Faulkner's nuanced portrayal of these characters add depth and complexity to the novel. And of course, the language and style, if you take it, to me, it was really difficult. Yes, of course, but it is dense, highly symbolic, filled with intricate imagery and allusions. You have to really understand, you wait and think, and of course, there's a lot of the southern lingo that it's written in, which is quite difficult to understand at times. He employs a variety of narrative techniques, including stream of consciousness, interior monologue, and I came to know about this stream of consciousness only after reading this novel. And of course, there's an interior monologue. We can solve the key, as we know, and shifting points of view to convey the inner lives of his characters. And really, I mean, it was a challenge for me to read this book. But it rewards you if you give it careful attention and close analysis, if you can do that. I took this up from the library. The structure, though I wanted the original one, where I got this one. The structural experimentation. Faulkner's experimental approach to narrative structure and language sets The Sound and the Fury apart as a modernist masterpiece. By pushing the boundaries of conventional storytelling, um, that's what I mean. It is a By pushing the boundaries of conventional storytelling, he invites readers to actively engage with the text and draw their own conclusions about its meaning and significance. And the novel's fragmented structure reflects the fractured nature of human experience and invites readers to contemplate the elusive nature of truth and meaning. And of course, talking about the legacy and influence, of course, it has had a profound impact on the subsequent generations of writers and continues to be studied and analyzed in literary circles. Faulkner's innovative narrative techniques and thematic depth have inspired countless authors to push the boundaries of fiction and explore the complexities of human consciousness. So, of course, it is a towering achievement in American literature. That's why he got the Nobel Prize for Literature. It showcases his mastery of narrative technique and his keen insight into the human condition. Through its exploration of memory, time, and identity, the novel challenges readers to confront the ambiguities and contradictions of existence and continues to resonate with audiences nearly a century after its publication. So, see for yourself, please read. And we can end with this thought by William Faulkner. I give you the mausoleum of all hope and desire. I give it to you not that you may remember time, but that you might forget it now and then for a moment and not spend all of your breath trying to conquer it, because no battle is ever won. They are not even fought. The field only reveals to man his own folly and despair, and victory is an illusion of philosophers and fools. How true. But nobody realizes that even today. Let good sense prevail, humankind.